Hi everyone. So I'm live here, and this is going to be another live stream talking about Hurricane Milton here. So Milton regains strength as a Category 5 hurricane, so it regains that Category 5 strength. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Actually, I'll talk about that right now. I'll go on Zoom Earth here. Once it loads, it'd be nice. There we go. Yeah, regain strength. So when I did my live stream yesterday, it was a Category 5 hurricane for over 180 mile per hour winds. And then around 2 a.m. last night, it did go down a little bit to a Category 4 with 155 mile per hour winds. But then now we're back up to a Category 5 hurricane again as of 5:30 p.m. And it looks like it's going to be a Category 3 by the time it makes landfall, at least according to this. We have 125 mile per hour winds by the time it makes landfall tomorrow night. Here's what the past few hours have looked like here, or past several hours have looked like. As Milton is in the Gulf of Mexico, north of the Yucatan Peninsula, tropical storm warning in parts of the Yucatan Peninsula, northern part of the Yucatan Peninsula, including Cancun. Yeah, destructive storm surge, winds, and flooding rain are expected. So at a glance, Milton is a Category 5 hurricane over the southern Gulf of Mexico. Hurricane and storm surge warnings are in effect for parts of Florida. A destructive life-threatening storm surge is expected along the western Florida Gulf Coast. Devastating hurricane-force winds will occur near the coast and will inland through central Florida. Expansive, major flooding rainfall is also expected. Hurricane Milton has strengthened into a Category 5 hurricane once again. So yeah, it's a Category 5 hurricane once again. The storm continues to pose a grave danger to Florida, where its potentially historic strike will be destructive, life-threatening storm surge, widespread wind damage, flooding, rainfall, and tornadoes beginning Wednesday. Milton has the potential to be one of the most destructive hurricanes on record for West Central Florida, the National Hurricane Center said in its Tuesday evening discussion. All preparations should be rushed to completion today, and if you're in an area prone to storm surge, follow the advice of local officials and evacuate if ordered. This is a serious situation with the National Hurricane Center forecasting a storm surge as much as 10 to 15 feet above ground level along the western Florida Gulf Coast, including the Tampa Bay area, if peak surge arrives at high tide. So this is the latest stats on Milton. The hurricane is centered 440 miles southwest of Tampa. It's a Category 5 hurricane packing 165 mile per hour winds as of 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time and is tracking east-northeast at 10 miles per hour. Milton has grown in size over the last 24 hours with tropical storm force winds now up to 140 miles per hour from its center. Tropical storm force wind now up to 140 miles from its center. It will continue to grow even larger on approach to Florida, which means its impacts will affect a big area. And this is Milton as of 9:20 p.m. Eastern Time. In the southern Gulf of Mexico, just north of Cancun in the Yucatan Peninsula. Here's where the hurricane storm surge alerts are in effect. So, like I was talking about before, again, this is where Milton is right now. A tropical storm warning for parts of the northern parts of the Yucatan Peninsula, including Cancun. And then also, these are the hurricane storm surge warnings are in effect for the U.S. Hurricane warnings cover much of Central Florida from the Gulf side to the Atlantic side, including Tampa Bay area, Fort Myers, Orlando, Cape Canaveral, and Daytona Beach. This means hurricane sustained winds of 74 miles per hour or higher. Conditions are expected within the warning area generally within 36 hours, or in this case, beginning late Wednesday and early Thursday. Various tropical storm watches and warnings cover other parts of Florida, southeast Georgia, southeast South Carolina, and southern North Carolina, as shown in the map below. A storm surge warning stretches along Florida's Gulf Coast from Flamingo northward to the Swanee River, including Charlotte Harbor and Tampa Bay. Parts of Florida's Atlantic coastline is also in a storm surge warning from Sebastian Inlet northward to Altamaha Sound in Georgia, including the St. Johns River in northeast Florida. This means a life-threatening water rise from storm surge expected in these areas generally within 36 hours. So the hurricane warning has spread. It's spread throughout the west and east coast of Florida, affecting Tampa and Orlando, throughout much of central and northern Florida. Fort Myers is kind of right in the edge of that hurricane warning, tropical storm warning. Miami has a tropical storm warning. Jacksonville has a tropical storm warning, hurricane watch. And then, Savannah, Georgia, and even Wilmington, North Carolina have tropical storm watches. And like I said in my live stream yesterday, again, a lot of these areas, and this is as of 8 p.m. Eastern Time, but a lot of these areas already have been affected by Helene, and they're trying to clean up all the debris from Helene. And again, it's just devastating what Helene has done, it really is. We also do have some tropical storm warnings here as well. And that hurricane watch. But yeah, it's just devastating, though, what Helene has done. And again, a lot of these areas are a lot of the same areas that have been affected by Helene, and now they're just getting affected by Milton. Just, a couple weeks later. Not even, just a week or two later, now they're getting hit with Milton. And then, here's the latest timing and intensity forecast. The forecast calls fluctuations in intensity over the next 12 to 24 hours. The Milton will then weaken gradually on approach to Florida because of increasing wind shear and dry air, but it should remain a major hurricane through landfall sometime later Wednesday into early Thursday. It's important to note that this weakening won't reduce the impacts we see from Milton, including storm surge, destructive winds, and flooding rainfall. As mentioned before, Milton will also grow larger on approach to Florida, allowing its wind, storm surge, and rainfall impacts to sprawl out across a bigger area, both within and outside of its forecast cone. In short, do not let your guard down if you see Milton weakening on approach to landfall as it is expected, and the hurricane will continue to be an extremely serious threat to Florida. So yeah, current information, 165 miles per hour, moving east-northeast at 10 miles per hour. This is as of 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So Wednesday p.m., so tomorrow, 150 miles per hour, and then, tomorrow night, either late Wednesday night or early on Thursday, it's going to be making landfall, possibly as a Category 3 hurricane of 125 miles per hour winds. Showing here Thursday, 2 a.m. Looks like to be around the time it's going to make landfall, at least as of what we know right now, and as of what's showing me right now, it says Category 3 hurricane. But still, though, don't let that fool you, though, because, its impacts are going to spread far and wide. It's expected to grow, and it's still expected to be a life-threatening storm. And then by Thursday p.m., 85-mile-per-hour winds, and it should be making its way to the other side of the peninsula. And then Friday early a.m., 75-mile-per-hour winds. It'll go out to the open sea, into the Atlantic. And then Friday p.m., 65-mile-per-hour winds. Impact forecast, storm surge. The latest National Hurricane Center forecast calls for storm surge to be as much as 10 to 15 feet above ground level if the peak surge coincides with high tide along the west central Florida Gulf Coast, including Tampa Bay. Damaging storm surge could be as much as 8 to 12 feet as far south as Charlotte Harbor and Fort Myers Beach. Please note that adjustments to the storm surge forecast shown below are possible based on future track updates for Milton. Storm surge will be the most destructive near and to the south of where the storm center crosses the coast. If you're in an area prone to storm surge, you should follow the advice of local officials and evacuate if ordered. If the storm surge forecast materializes for the Tampa Bay, it would be the highest there in more than a century. A track near or north of the bay will bring the highest surge potential there, while a track a bit further south would shift the worst surge southward. Storm surge should start building up on Wednesday before likely peaking Wednesday night into early Thursday. Low tide on much of the west coast of Florida is Wednesday afternoon. High tide is Thursday morning. Some storm surge could also inundate parts of Florida's east coast as well as coastal Georgia and South Carolina because of winds blowing onshore when Milton passes by Wednesday night through Thursday. The peak storm surge forecast is above ground level. Peak surge occurs at high tide. 10 to 15 feet. Again, it could be record breaking. This, like we've been saying, and like you've probably been hearing, or seeing, if it materializes for Tampa Bay, it could be the highest there in more than a century, which is just wow. Again, 10 to 15 feet, possibly over a foot above ground level, like possibly like 10, or not a foot. No, it already is feet. But yeah, still though, 10 to 15 feet above ground level. That's just nuts. Because again, this isn't feet, So 10 to 15 feet above ground level, and this could be the highest that's been in Tampa Bay, possibly in the Tampa Bay area, in more than a century. So yeah, 10 to 15 feet possible in Tampa, and then 5 to 10 north of there, 8 to 12 south of there, which is still a lot. 5 to 10 feet, 8 to 12 feet, that's still a lot, but the 10 to 15, though, in Tampa and around the Tampa area, that's going to cause major storm surge, major flooding. Again, then more than a century. And then 3 to 5 north of the 5 to 10, and then 1 to 3 for the Panhandle. South of the 8 to 12, we have 5 to 8 for the Naples area, and then south of there, 3 to 5 feet, as well as off of the Florida Keys as well. And then 1 to 3 feet for the Florida Keys in the blue, and then 3 to 5 feet. And then we also have 3 to 5 feet as well for the eastern, northeastern part of the Florida coast, including Jacksonville. And then we have 2 to 4, and as well, that also does affect parts of the Georgia coast as well. And then 2 to 4 feet for parts of the Georgia coast and South Carolina coast, and then 1 to 3 feet for parts of the South Carolina coast. And again, this is, feet above ground level. Again, 10 to 15 feet for around the Tampa area, which is just, wow. Fortunately, it's just going to cause so much damage. All this storm surge Tropical storm conditions could arrive in western Florida as soon as early Wednesday, which means all preparations should be completed before then. The strongest winds capable of structural damage, downing trees, and knocking out power will occur near where the center of Milton crosses the coast in west central Florida, then tracks inland through central Florida toward the Orlando area. Power outages may last for days in these areas. The timing for those strongest winds begins late Wednesday along the western Gulf Coast and spreads east along central Florida or across central Florida through the first part of Thursday. Areas farther away from the landfall point in northern and southern Florida will see some strong wind gusts as well that could at least down trees and cause scattered power outages. Below is a look at the peak wind threat based on the current track of Milton. Note that this forecast could shift in future updates. So yeah, I mean, over 110 plus miles per hour here. I mean, considering it's expected to be a Category 3 hurricane, even though that could change, could possibly be higher than that. But at least as of what we know right now, it looks like it's going to be about a Category 3 hurricane when it makes landfall in Tampa, between Tampa and Naples. With 110 plus miles per hour. I mean, 125 from what I'm seeing right now. And then around that, to the south of that, as well as to the east of that, probably including Orlando and Naples, 74 to 109 mile per hour winds, which is still, hurricane force winds. And then north and south of there in the orange, including Daytona Beach, 58 to 73 mile per hour winds. And then for Miami, as well as Jacksonville, in the yellow, even for a little bit of the Georgia coast, 39 to 57 mile per hour winds. And then from there, 38 or less mile per hour winds, including for Tallahassee, parts of southern Georgia, as well as eastern South Carolina, including Charleston, even going into, the Florida Panhandle, and even going to a little bit of southeastern Alabama. Rainfall, flooding. Rainfall has been soaking Florida since the weekend because of a front draped across the state. Flood watches are posted across much of the Florida peninsula because of this rain preceding Milton's arrival and rainfall from the hurricane itself by Wednesday. So this is like the rain here, 9:10 p.m. Eastern time, because that front, right before Milton's arrival. Totals across the central and northern Florida peninsula could be 6 to 12 inches, with locally up to 18 inches through Thursday. This could lead to life-threatening flash flooding and moderate to major river flooding. NOAA's Weather Prediction Center has issued a rare, high-risk flood threat for parts of central Florida, including the Tampa Bay and Orlando areas, for Wednesday and Wednesday night because of this excessive rainfall. I mean, look at this rainfall here. I mean, again, Tampa, considering the storm surge, possibly 10 to 15 feet above ground level there. Around Tampa, I believe, I'm seeing a lot of red, a lot of oranges, 5 to 8, 8 to 12 inches, possibly even some pink locally in some areas, possibly some 12 to 18. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of orange, a lot of red, even some pink locally in some areas, as well as a lot of yellows and dark greens, 2 to 3 inches, 3 to 5 in the yellow, down by Miami, about 1 to 2 inches, less than 1. Around Jacksonville, we're around the 2 to 3, 3 to 5, I would say, 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. And then around Tampa, we're definitely around the 5 to 8 at least, even the 8 to 12 or even the 12 to 18. And then for southeastern Georgia, the Georgia coast, around, inch or less, 1 to 2. Then probably around Naples and Orlando as well. Orlando is probably about 8 to 12. Same thing of Daytona Beach, probably about 8 to 12, I would say. In those areas, 5 to 8, 8 to 12 inches. And then same thing with Naples, probably about 5 to 8, 3 to 5. And then tornadoes and isolated tornadoes threat may develop. Okay, I don't know what just happened here. Okay, I'm still streaming, right? Which hopefully I am. Sorry. Okay, looks like I'm still streaming. All right. I didn't know for a second because I got the notification on my computer. But yeah. So tornadoes. An isolated tornado threat may develop in much of west central and southern Florida by Tuesday night. The threat of a few tornadoes will then continue Wednesday and Wednesday night in the central and southern Florida peninsula. An isolated tornado threat could linger into Thursday in east central and southern Florida. So yeah, possible tornado threat Wednesday and the Wednesday night in the central southern Florida, including Tampa, Palm Bay, and Miami. And then a little bit north of that, marginal tornado threat risk Wednesday and Wednesday night. Recap of Milton so far. Tropical Depression 14 formed on the morning of October 5th in the southwest Gulf of Mexico, and shortly thereafter was deemed Tropical Storm Milton. The storm then rapidly intensified into Hurricane Milton about 24 hours later at 1 p.m. Central Daylight Time, October 6th. Next day, Milton underwent another incredible round of rapid intensification. Winds increased from 90 miles per hour at 1 a.m. Central Time on October 7th to 180 miles per hour just 15 hours later at 4 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Wow. Yeah, one of those tropical depression, the yellow, tropical storm, the orange, Category 1, Category 2 hurricane, the red. And of course, throughout most of Milton's life, like I would probably say about 70-80% of Milton's life has been a Category 3 plus hurricane, mainly a Category 5 and a Category 4 at some points. Milton's 180 mile per hour winds made it one of only 9 other Atlantic hurricanes to hit that wind threshold or higher. Its pressure dropped to 897 millibars, which is the lowest observed in any Atlantic hurricane since Wilma in 2005. That also ranks as the 5th lowest pressure on record for any Atlantic hurricane. And this is on X Twitter here from Philip Klotzbach. Philip Klotzbach. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry if I just butchered that, but yeah, this is on Twitter here though. Milton's pressure has fallen to 897 millibars, the lowest pressure in an Atlantic hurricane since Wilma in 2005, at 882. And there is Milton right there. So yeah, I'm going to link this in the description below. But definitely please stay safe out there as always. If you're told to evacuate, please do so. You definitely want to also rush preparations as well. So I'm going to put everything in the description below as well as some more resources as well. I probably will be doing a radar stream soon at some point. Probably not yet, but probably most likely tomorrow night. I'll probably start doing a radar stream here on Zoom Earth. So, because I know that a lot of you seem to like when I do the radar streams. It's just the only problem with me doing them, though, is that I don't want to overwork my computer, so. Yeah, I'll probably do a radar stream, though. But probably one more thing, though. Or probably a couple more things, actually, before I end this stream off here, I'm just putting some resources in the description below. Resources and sources used if you want to go check it out for yourself. Okay. So I'm just going to read some of this off here real quick from flash.org. And then we'll take a look at, Zoom, Earth, and then also the weather.com. And I have it set on Tampa, I'm pretty sure, for the radar. For the radar coming in the next few hours, and then I will end this live stream off. But yeah, make a plan for what to do before, during, and after a hurricane. So before hurricane season begins on June 1st every year, prepare for storms by finding your evacuation zone, deciding where to shelter, building your disaster supply kit, strengthening your home, and do not tape your windows. Visit the Hurricane Strong website and use the checklist to complete your plan today. To prepare your business organization for a hurricane, download the free Ray Business Hurricane Toolkit to kickstart your planning. And then during the hurricane, it is critical time to stay safe and put your disaster preparedness plan into action during a hurricane. Take all safety precautions, monitor the storm, and follow the advice of authorities, especially if they order evacuations. If you don't evacuate, stay indoors and shelter in an interior windowless room during high winds. And after the hurricane, down power lines, contaminated water, and flood roadways create hazardous conditions. Stay indoors until authorities say it's safe to leave or return home. Use generators safely during power outages. Take photos of property damage. Make temporary repairs to prevent further damage, and file a claim with your insurance company. Plan to repair and rebuild resistantly to prevent damage from future hurricanes. And I have flash.org and more sources from their website in the description below if you want to go check it out for yourself. So we're just going to take a look at the radar here. We'll take a look at Zoom Earth one more time, showing here the past several hours. And then I'm going to go on the weather.com radar and then show you what the radar will look like over the next few hours. And then I'm going to end this live stream off. See, I'm pretty sure I have it set on Tampa here, which is what I set on during the last live stream. Yeah, hurricane warning in effect, among with 10 other alerts. Sometimes weather.com does take a little while to load because of all the ads, so. But yeah, I'll link this in the description as well. But yeah, please definitely stay safe out there, everyone. As always, please, again, this is a really, really dangerous storm here. So please definitely stay safe out there, everyone. As always, if you're told to evacuate, please definitely do so. Definitely listen to all the authorities in your area. And please definitely stay safe out there, as always, especially from this, dangerous, life-threatening storm. So stay safe out there, everyone, as always.